Hey guys, Nuzlite here, and today we're back for another YouTube video. Today we have Azula from Avatar: The Last Airbender versus Dabi from My Hero Academia. If you enjoyed this video, dislike and subscribe. If this video feels confusing and headache-inducing, like a lot throughout the video, then good, because that's exactly how I felt writing this. Both of them have like very concrete feats that you cannot rebut whatsoever, but they also have higher end feats that come down to subjectivity, so I'll cover them in the conclusion. So if you're watching this video thinking one of them should be stronger than I'm putting them, don't worry, I'll go over that in the conclusion. This is more just kind of like a baseline kind of comparison, and yeah, let's just get around to this. For strength attack potency, Azula, when she clashed with Zuko in their final battle, it created flames so powerful it would be the equivalent of around 13 tons of TNT, which is city block level. However, the water tribe was able to obviously manipulate ice and able to capture / destroy / heavily damage a large, Fire Nation ship, which would therefore then calculate out to around 4.83 kilotons of TNT, which is small town level, and this only applies to one of the Water Tribe members individually, who Azula has been able to defeat. And if she scales to all of them combined, that's one of the things we'll go over later on, but right now she'd be small town level. Dabi, on the other hand, was capable of melting large parts of a massive glacier, which would therefore then calculate out to around 154 tons of TNT, which would be multi-city block level. Dabi has also been able to go toe-to-toe with and even defeat in certain instances Endeavour, who is able to clash with Shigaraki's air cannon, which previously had been shown capable of destroying large parts of a city and calculating out to around 6.3 kilotons of TNT, or just town level. So if we're to go with just the baseline measurements, Dabi would have the slight edge over Azula. If you've seen the Endeavour versus All Might video, you understand where the complication part comes in. It's a debate whether Endeavour ever surpassed any form of All Might, and obviously we'll go over that in the conclusion. But as baseline measurements, and so far, Dabi has the slight edge over Azula. In terms of speed, Azula is bare minimum comparable to Aang and Zuko, who have been able to catch and manipulate lightning, and she herself can also fire off lightning, and it travels at around 270,000 miles per hour. Dabi, on the other hand, has fought Todoroki, who fought Bakugo, who fought Tokoyami, who fought Kaminari, and Kaminari is able to fire off lightning himself, and Tokoyami is even able to move fast enough to block it, which also would put Dabi around 270,000 miles per hour. However, due to calculations done by Seth the programmer, who managed to figure out how fast Bakugo can fire off his explosions and how fast All Might would have to be to dodge them, Bakugo can output, or at least fire off his explosions, at around 0.008 the speed of light. And at first you might think, well, is 0.008 times the speed of light? That probably isn't that much, but it's actually around 5 million miles per hour. So Dabi would have the speed point here nonetheless. In terms of durability, Azula's attack potency should scale to her durability, seeing that she's taking hits from people around the same power as her, if not a little bit weaker. So yeah, she should also have around small town level durability, although maybe a little bit of a high ball considering. Meanwhile, Dabi's attack potency should also scale to his durability, seeing that he's been able to take hits from Endeavour, who, as we already said, was able to clash with Shigaraki's air cannon. So yeah, Dabi has the edge in terms of durability here too. For abilities, weaponry, and attack potency, the way that firebending works for Azula is that in high or heightened emotional states, her power gets more, powerful. As she also, of course, can manipulate and bend fire, manipulate and bend lightning, can essentially fly with fire. She can also, shoot fire out of her mouth in a breath attack. She can also somewhat create weapons, as fire manipulators or fire benders in the series have been shown capable of creating whips and such out of flames. Dabi, meanwhile, of course, can manipulate fire, as you would expect. He also has rage boosts as well, or at least his power gets more powerful. I've said that again, with rage. He also can't really fly, but he can definitely propel himself up into the air with his fire. He also has resistance to fire, go figure, and ice as well to an extent. So for who's more versatile, I think it's really clear that Azula is. The only thing that Dabi has that Azula doesn't is resistance to ice and such. Azula has much more to work with than Dabi does, and I'm pretty sure even those die-hard My Hero Academia fans can admit that. For those better abilities, that is slightly more subjective, but I'll probably have to give it to Azula as well, seeing that most of the things that Dabi can do, Azula can even do better or just the same. So yeah, the abilities and versatility point here both go to Azula. In terms of weaknesses, if Azula's firebending, or rather her emotions, go too out of control, she can get weaker. And also in a solar eclipse, she can't use her firebending whatsoever. So we're not going to use the latter weakness, because then it just wouldn't be a fight, it wouldn't be fair. Obviously Dabi would win in that instance, but yeah, that is really the weaknesses that Azula has. As for Dabi, meanwhile, he can't really use his full power, or at least all of his fire, for too long, otherwise he will eventually burn himself or go numb, essentially. He also is a little bit fragile, so any strong hits could beat him, seeing that, you know, he kind of scarred himself for life, literally. So for us, the worst weakness, I think in the context of a fight, I think is definitely Dabi. Now for the conclusion. As we've seen from this, Dabi has the power, speed and durability points, meanwhile Azula is more versatile, has better abilities and is less vulnerable. So who wins the fight overall? So first I'm just going to look at the baseline first before going into other things later on. So Dabi could very well speed blitz Azula, or at least that would be his way of winning, seeing that he is more powerful and faster. Azula could very well trap him with essentially the fire whips that she could create, or prolong Dabi out by staying in the air, since Dabi can't really stay in the air for that long, even if, you know, he can get into the air by propelling himself. The way you could scale Azula higher is if you scale her to the entire water tribe, which isn't too far-fetched considering she's been able to take down multiple at a time, but you know, to say that she is as powerful as all of them combined is a little bit subjective. However, if you do scale her to that, her power would be around 120 kilotons of TNT, and therefore her durability would be there too. So it would really be a matter of time before she would defeat Dabi in that respect. However, if you scale Dabi to All Might's level, since you know Endeavor was able to knock over Gigantomachia in a single punch, and Gigantomachia was supposed to be on All Might's level. And just generally watch the Endeavor versus All Might video if you want to see the evidence for it. If you do scale Dabi to Endeavor's level, he would be around Mountain to Large Island level, which would therefore mean that he would absolutely stomp Azula. So here's a little, I guess, for lack of a better term, list of where they lie in terms of power. I would say that overall Dabi has the edge in terms of who would win, but it is extremely close if you go by the baselines. Again, scale Azula to the entire of the water tribe and put her up against a baseline Dabi, Azula would definitely win. And of course, scale Dabi to All Might, Dabi wins. If you enjoyed this video, dislike and subscribe. I'm sorry this doesn't really have a clear ending, but blame the people that wrote these things, because it really comes down to subjectivity, which is the worst part about it. Yeah, if you enjoyed this video, dislike and subscribe, and yeah, I'll see you in the next video.